Hello, this is Professor Cravey, and I'd like to welcome you to BUSA 501 Business Strategy and Execution. I want to take just a few minutes to go over the syllabus and explain a little bit of how the course is structured and hopefully answer any questions that you might have. This course starts on August 27th, which is a Sunday, and runs until Saturday, October 21st. The way that the course is structured, it's structured into 8 modules or 8 weeks. So each week begins on Sunday morning and it ends at 11:59 p.m. on Saturday. You have the flexibility within that week to work on assignments and readings at your discretion, but there are specific due dates for assignments and discussions. The initial posts are always due on a Wednesday with the replies due by the end of the week. If you have a specific question, you can feel free to email me or even give me a call. Email would be my preferred way to get a hold of me. I'll respond to you within 24 hours, if not sooner. You can also go out into Canvas, into Module 0. There's a section there called Course Commons, and you could post a question if it's a general question around the nature of the course, and I'd be happy to respond to that so that all the students could see that. In terms of the course materials, really everything that you need is within Canvas, with the exception of anything that specifically says that you need to go out and buy or purchase books or articles. But Canvas will really be the place that you'll live within each of the modules, and I'll show that here at the end of this video. But it'll explain when your assignments are due, readings that you have each week, videos, discussions, and so forth. Within Canvas, for the announcement sections, please be sure to turn on your announcement notifications to go directly to your email. That way you are updated with any new announcements around the course. You'll definitely want to check your email at least once a day, if not sooner, just to make sure that you have any new notifications that have come out. Within this course, we have some requirements around instructional time and non-instructional time. And you may have noticed, if you've reviewed the syllabus toward the back, as you start looking at each of the modules and the work that you'll do, there's a column here that says IT and NIT. And that stands for instructional time and non-instructional time. So basically, the way that online courses are set up, and as they're evaluated by accreditors and state agencies, there are certain requirements around how much instructional time you must have and how much non-instructional time you must have. Now, this is a nice guide for you to really kind of look at how long these particular readings or assignments should be taking you. So, for example, here in Module 1, you have 3.5 hours of non-instructional time, which includes all of your readings. You have an hour and a half of instructional time, which counts for the videos that you'll be watching. There's 3 hours anticipated for discussions, making initial posts and replies to your colleagues, and then approximately 8 hours to do the written assignment on what is the purpose of business. Now, these hours are really just guides. So it anticipates, for example, with reading, that you can read a page every 2 minutes. Some people read faster, some read slower. So kind of take these as a baseline, and then really as you kind of get through it, you'll decide if that's appropriate or how much time you really need. I typically tell students you're going to need 15 to 16 hours per week to adequately do all of the readings and the assignments. Now, in graduate programs, reading is heavy. It's going to be heavy in all of your courses, so be prepared for that. There's a lot of articles and a couple of books that you're going to be reading through. So getting ahead in the reading as much as you can is always great, especially since discussion posts, your initial posts are always due on a Wednesday. And a lot of times those require you to have reading done ahead of time. So as much as you can, fit some reading into your weekend to get a jump start on that, I would highly recommend that. You'll notice that within these modules, it has the due dates. And again, this is all in Canvas for you, along with the points associated with each of the modules or the assignments. Scrolling back up here into the syllabus, there are some synchronous sessions. So on Module 3 and Module 5, you'll notice there is a live conference in Zoom. What we have found is that many of our students really enjoy being able to connect live with their professor and their fellow colleagues. So we try to build this intentionally into our courses. Some have 2, some have 1, some have 3, depending on the course that you're in. This particular course has it in weeks 3 and week 5. It'll be on Thursday of that week from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. I will send a Zoom link out the week of the live conference. Those will be recorded, so if you have any questions or if there's any concerns about not being able to attend, maybe you have a prior commitment, you can watch that video later of the conference, and then by the end of the week, submit a 1 to 2 page document with your thoughts and reflections about that particular conference. When you're in Canvas, you'll be able to see all the things that you need to prepare for each of those live conferences, and we'll be walking through some interesting case studies. In terms of the writing guidelines, we do use APA in our business and leadership programs. So if you don't have that latest manual, please go pick that up. I've also provided a link from Purdue University, which has a great resource to learn more about APA. Typically, all of your written assignments will require APA, unless otherwise stated. And additionally, any discussion posts that you do, if you're going to be quoting or leveraging the literature, which you will be doing, you need to give proper citation to that and then provide a full reference of your citation at the bottom of that particular post. Since I'm talking about discussions, I think it's important to know in the discussion boards that I'm really looking for you to be able to leverage the literature that you're reading, whether it's in this course or other information that you're digesting and consuming. It could be from our library resources. It could be other things that you're reading in the industry. But bring all of that to bear into your responses and into your replies. I'm looking for a good synthesis of that. I don't want to hear you say, well, I think this or I think that. It's okay to have an opinion, but that opinion needs to be supported by the literature, right? So you need to really stand on the shoulders of giants and be able to support your opinion well, which is things that you have to do in business and leadership as well. As you have to be able to not only provide your opinion, but provide the basis for your opinion and how you've researched it and leveraged the resources that are available to you. When it comes to replying to students within the discussions as well, I'm not looking for just mere agreement. So I'm not looking for you to say, oh, I agree with you, great post. It's okay to say that you agree with certain aspects, but I want you to pull the thread. Can you take what they wrote and take it further? Are there other things within that initial post that really needs to be unpacked and thought about? Do you disagree? And could you provide some constructive criticism to that? So I'm really looking for you to engage at a graduate level in some high-level conversations about some of these important topics and really kind of challenging assumptions and, again, leveraging the literature as the basis for your opinions. In terms of the course, we're going to be going over what is a business strategy. So we're going to really start with, what is the purpose of business? How does that purpose translate into a mission? What are the values? What are the things that are important to the organization? How does that, purpose and mission and values and vision, how does that translate into a strategy around where we're going to play, how we're going to win or be successful, how it's going to be sustainable? And then we'll start looking at, how do we begin to measure our strategy and ensure that we're looking at the business holistically or the organization holistically, and have some effective measures to understand how well we are accomplishing our strategy. So one nice thing to look at, and I will share my screen here with you for this particular image. So if you take a look at this particular picture, you'll actually find this in your strategy maps article that you'll read later in this course. But I think this pyramid is a nice pyramid to think about some of the things that we're going to be talking about in this course and how they build upon one another. So we're going to start at the very top around mission and why we exist, the purpose of the business. We're going to talk about values, those things that are important to the business. We're going to talk about the vision of where we want to go. And then how does that vision translate into a strategy or a game plan, where we're going to play, how we're going to win, the processes and management systems we need in place to be successful. How do we develop a strategy map to get there? And then we'll look at the balanced scorecard. So really a measurement tool to evaluate the overall strategy. So I think this is important because as you work through your assignments, you're going to be working with either your existing organization, an organization that you want to serve, or one that you'd like to start. And you really want to build on each of these pieces in your assignments to work toward your final project. So there's more instructions in the assignments around that. But in particular, we're looking for you to take in your assignments and be very applied in nature to either an organization that you currently work in, one that you'd like to work with. So it's a great opportunity for you to build some networking relationships and potentially help an organization with their business strategy. Or it could be a company that you want to start and you're starting to do that legwork now to talk about, what is it that we're trying to do? What is the product or service that we're wanting to create? And how is that going to create value for the community? And what's our vision for it? And what is our strategy to be successful overall? So again, this is in your strategy maps, Harvard Business Review case that you will review later. But I think this is a nice visual to kind of go back to and look at overall. Now I will go back into our syllabus and looking at some of the learning outcomes. We'll talk about the importance of vision and mission, techniques for developing your strategy, how to achieve it, how to implement it, and how faith integrates into all of this, how faith gives meaning and purpose and value into businesses that we create and how those enable communities to flourish. In terms of the textbooks and other resources that you will need, there's two main books, the Drucker book and Peter Greer's book. There's also a link here, which will also be available in Canvas to some of Jim Collins' work on a vision framework. And then you need to click on this Harvard link to access all of the Harvard Business Review articles. There's a number of articles in here. I know it seems like a lot, and it is a lot. Some of these are not too long. And can be completed and read through fairly quickly. But they're great articles, a lot of practical information that's going to help you as you unpack the various aspects of business strategy. So simply click on this link. You can purchase these articles and download those, and you will have them. I've also provided a list of supplemental resources. You don't need these, but these are some other books that I've found to be very helpful when looking at business strategy, changing cultures, and creating competitive advantage overall. As I mentioned earlier, the Canvas is laid out into these modules. So each module corresponds to a week. So module 1 is week 1. So module 1 will start on Sunday, August 27th, and everything is due by September the 2nd. So all of your readings and videos, all the instructions on discussions. As I mentioned with discussions, your initial post is always due on a Wednesday, with subsequent posts due by Saturday. Although I do encourage you to reply and respond earlier in the week so that we can have thorough discussions as opposed to waiting until Saturday night to finish up any of your replies. Also, you have your points out here for each of your elements in your discussions. You have some assignments in here like the vision framework. You're going to do a strategy analysis of your organization or an organization of choice. You're going to do a SWOT and 5 forces analysis of your organization of choice, a value chain analysis. You're going to develop a strategy map. You're going to develop a balanced scorecard. And then ultimately, you're going to put together a consulting presentation based on all of the work that you've done. And there's a few other elements there. I would encourage you to go into Module 8 and look at this final project because I think it will really help frame the rest of the course and what you need to be working toward. As I mentioned, it's very good to stick with an organization throughout this entire course as opposed to creating a strategy map for one organization and a balanced scorecard for another. Stick with the same organization. So again, it can be the company that you work for. It can be an organization that you want to serve and you seek them out and get their approval to do that, or it could be a company that you want to start. One of our students took this to his organization, actually created a lot of opportunities for him to create new networks, being able to interface with people he normally wouldn't get to interface with, and was really able to help develop a strategy around a particular business line within this organization. And within 6 months, this individual was promoted and was the director of the entire department. So don't underestimate the opportunities that you might have in your own organization to be talking with some of your senior leaders about their business strategy and being able to refine that and leverage your opportunity as a student, because oftentimes people are much more apt and willing and open to talk to students, and you might be able to be included in some very important conversations and discussions overall. At the end of the syllabus, there are some guidelines around academic integrity. We expect you to do your own work. If you're going to use a quote, make sure that you quote it. We don't want any plagiarized material. As you read in the academic handbook, that can result in expulsion and dismissal from the program. So you don't want to be in that situation. If you have any, if there's any ADA concerns that you have, please let me know about those so we can look at making reasonable accommodation. Mike Rice is our library assistant. You can reach out to him for any questions you might have about the library or databases that you'd like to access in your research. The Writing Center is also available on campus, but we also have some additional resources that are available to you if you need some help with your writing. And please reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you with that. So if you have any questions, please let me know. And I'd like to take a moment and take a look at the actual Canvas modules, just to give you a feel for how those are laid out. So I'll go back here into my web browser. And as I mentioned, modules is really the place that you're going to want to live. This has all of your information about the work that you need to do each week. So you'll see Module 0, which basically has some guidelines. Here's the course commons that I referenced. So if you have a question that's a common question that you'd like answered that all students could benefit, you could post that question there. There's also a section here on Zoom. So before week 3, please go out and go through these links and do the little Zoom quiz. This is just to get you familiar with using Zoom, because that is our preferred method for our web conferences. As you go into Module 1, you'll see an introductions discussion board. I ask you that you go out there, make some introductions, tell us a little bit about yourself so we can get to know you. You're going to find through your program that you're going to make some great connections and have some great networks. So it's always interesting to see some of the commonalities and common paths and even connections that people have to one another as they begin to post a little bit about their background and what they do. As you click on any of these links to readings, videos, discussions, or your assignments, there's detailed instructions around those. Your assignments, if there's a rubric for that assignment, you will see that. So for example, in the discussion board, there's the prompt on what you need to do. And you'll notice there's a link here to the grading rubric for how your discussion is going to be evaluated. You can also access rubrics in the files section. Typically, the assignments that have rubrics are discussions, written assignments, and presentations. So be sure to review those rubrics, because there are some specific guidelines of what A work, B work, C work, and so forth look like overall. So each week, as I mentioned, you'll go through these modules and complete it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I look forward to our interaction. I think this is going to be a great course. You're going to learn a lot around business strategy. It's going to be very applicable to the organizations that you serve, businesses that you might want to start, organizations that you might want to lead. And so I really am excited about some of the conversations we can have and really beginning to challenge even some of the current business strategies that are out there and some of the disruptors to some of the traditional markets and industries that companies have really begun to differentiate their strategy to create value for their customers, which has helped us see a whole new emergence of new companies. So I look forward to talking with you and seeing your work. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and God bless. Take care.